All right, we are back. Okay, we are back. We are back. We are back. We are back. Okay. Hey y'all. No, we're back. We're back. Everything's good. Notifications messed up live, so she wanted to go and turn them off. I had to turn mine off too.
Okay,
All right, we're
perfect.
back. Yeah.
All
Okay.
notifications should be silent.
Okay. I had to actually turn mine off because mine were going off as well.
I
Okay.
know. Cool.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So you were kind of telling us about how, you were proving the haters wrong, pretty much, and how
Mhm.
what your journey was from, going D1 and then making it professional and just people's doubts about that being possible. So kind of dive into that story. Like give us the tea on that.
For sure. So I grew up in Pennsylvania and softball's way bigger down south. So, they get to play year round. I used to live in Georgia for 5 years and we moved back up to PA. So I played on a smaller travel team around my area and I didn't go to the big showcases or the big nationals to get seen. So I was a very out of control athlete when I was in high school. I feel like everyone kind of goes through that awkward phase of learning your body
Yeah.
and, like really just honing into your athleticism as an
Right.
athlete.
Right.
So I definitely went through that. And I think that showed a lot of people like, oh, she's too out of control. Like she's never going to make it Division 1 or,
Mm-hmm.
even D2. And
Okay.
so they're like, she's really athletic, but not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I never really let that get to me. I never even paid attention to it, but I knew that that's what a lot of people's opinions were. And this is something I'm embodying now too, is other people's opinions of you is really not your business. I mean, you really got to focus on you and your grind.
Yeah.
So, right. So that's kind of what I've experienced throughout middle school, high school, all of that. I didn't get any looks, I think, until probably my sophomore year, which is pretty late in the recruiting process back in
Yeah.
the day. And I was someone who I just wanted to play. I didn't even know about like playing big D1, small D1. I just knew I wanted to continue playing my career, and that was what was at the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
So I went to camps. I called colleges by like college coaches by myself. My dad and I traveled around touring colleges trying to go meet the coaches. And I think I have a big appreciation for where I'm at now because of doing the process by myself and not having it handed to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I
I love
love
that.
I love that journey about like I really do appreciate where people are in my position too because I've been through it.
Yeah.
So I committed. I remember going to actually this is a funny story. So I broke my wrist playing basketball in high
Oh,
school. I
geez.
yes, I fractured my scaphoid bone, but they said it wasn't broken. And I had an upcoming camp at the University of South Florida that December.
Okay.
And I was told I didn't have a broken wrist. So I was like, let's go ball. And
Okay.
I went to this camp and did everything, hitting, outfield, all of it, throwing with a broken wrist. I just wore a
Jeez.
cast. I wore like
So
a
that's when you know
brace.
you were a beast,
I
pretty much.
tried.
You were destined for greatness, pretty
There were
much.
tears. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but look, sometimes I know it's like if I'm gonna injure or re-injure something, it's gonna be like at this moment.
Mhm.
So I understand like it's like you know what, even though I'm in pain, if I can get through this, I know that this is gonna take me to the next level. So I just gotta suck it up. I've done
Exactly.
that. I don't recommend that, children. If you are injured,
It's
please
truly
make
the
sure you take care of
meaning
your
of
body.
right.
But
Truly
yeah,
rub some dirt on
don't
it
be
and
like
that.
us. But I do understand that it's just like it's a passion.
Hmm.
And I feel like when you get to that point to where it's like, okay, I have the opportunity to go to the next level, like you're really almost willing to sacrifice whatever. So I completely understand that.
Absolutely. So I went to the camp and I didn't do terrible. And so I remember meeting the head coach, Ken Erickson, who was my coach throughout college. And that's kind of how I got connected with South Florida. Didn't even know who he was, didn't know about USF. And when I went to visit the school, I fell in love. And that's kind of like my mind was set on that. And I knew I was going to achieve it no matter the cost of it. And I didn't go in to South Florida with a scholarship. I had like very, very small amount.
Okay.
Um, and I think I did very well. So I loved that I was able to prove myself. I think I wouldn't have it any other way, like getting money and going in, because I don't think I would have really appreciated the opportunity that I had ahead of me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I just did it on myself. I tried to get exposure camps, and it got me to get seen and go play Division 1 for 5 years.
Wow.
And I struggled my sophomore year as well, and then I succeeded my junior, senior, and fifth year. And from there, it kind of showed in everything that I do.
Wow. So you pretty much earned everything that you got,
Yes.
which is incredible because there are a lot of athletes that go into these situations. They already have everything made, they have everything laid out. It's a kind of like a easy set road almost. But I do feel like the athletes that have to have a little bit more grit end up
Mm-hmm.
being like the dogs when it comes to being successful in their sport, and that takes you a long way. So I look, kudos to you.
Thank you.
That was kind of, but that was my story. It was very similar. Like nothing was handed to me. I had to grind, work harder than everybody else. I would almost get there, and then I would get injured or something would happen, and then I have to do it again all over, all over and over and over again. But when I finally got there, it felt so good because I'm like, dang, looking back, all of that pain, all of those naysayers, all of those moments where I was told no, it paid off. So I know you're probably like, man, this has been a journey, and I know you're inspiring a lot of young softball players that want to be in your position. And this is kind of early, but I just feel like this is a perfect. I got to ask this question right now. But what advice would you give young softball players that are in your similar position? They don't have a lot of people around them telling them that they can do it. They don't have a lot of support. What advice would you give them?
This is a great, great question.
I don't know if it's a cliche question, but
Right.
you look, I gotta know.
Well, I would say just you have to keep it simple and kind of everything that you do, because if you put too much pressure on yourself to do anything, you're not going to do it.
Yep.
And so I would say 3 words is yes, you can. I think as someone who has been in their shoes, and I'm still currently, I would say to some level, still in that same thought process. And the challenges that they are going through as younger athletes, you have to have positive self-talk, and that's in every aspect of your life. So it's not just sports. What you say to yourself inside your head to other people, it matters. And
Yeah.
I feel that leaks into your athletic performance, your relationships, the way that people perceive your energy.
Yep.
And that says a lot about who you are. So I would say, life lesson two, aside from just like succeeding in your sport, is you can, and you have to take it into your own hands and really just have that positive self-talk.
I love that. I love that. So, I guess kind of speaking of that or in that direction. So, what lessons did you really learn under both of your coaches? I want to make sure I get their names right. Ken Erickson and Jessica Moore.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
I got it
You did a good
right.
job.
Look, I'm not good with the names, so.
It happens. Yes.
um.
So yeah, Ken Erickson, Jessica Moore. I had great, Lara Tadoni, Avon. I had great assistant coaches throughout my time there as well. And I would say the biggest lesson that I learned playing under them was they really challenged me to push past the limits that I had set for myself at the time. And
Mm,
I think that's like the biggest takeaway that not only helps me with playing now and like my social medias that I'm doing, but just in life, is that in like your careers, the only limits that are set are like limits that you set on yourself.
amen. Yeah.
And I think that is probably the biggest takeaway, because you don't remember the small things all the time, like in your sports. Like you don't remember going 4 for 4. You don't remember going 0 for 4. You don't
Yeah.
remember when your coach yelled at you, like this and that. You remember the person that they set you up to be. And
Yeah.
that is something that is like ingrained in my brain. Is I remember all of our coaching staff throughout. They always used to say, we're not just preparing you to win today's game or
Mm,
to win this
yeah.
championship or to make it to postseason. We're preparing you for who you're going to be outside of USF softball.
Oh man. That's important. You know what? A lot of coaches don't do that, if I'm being quite
I agree.
honest. It's literally all about the game and that's it.
Hmm.
Like what you do after that is just like what else? Like hopefully
It
you do
is.
well, but that's not my problem. So that
Right.
says a lot. And having good coaches, I don't think people understand. Sometimes those are almost like your second parents.
Hmm.
And definitely for kids that don't grow up with their parents that are like super active or super supportive. So the fact that you had someone, had coaches around you that were actually rooting for you and making sure that you were just successful as a human.
Hmm.
Parents, make sure you look for that. If I know there's a lot of parents on here, that says a lot, and that also is, probably a big testament to why you're also doing the amazing things that you're doing right now.
Thank
So
you.
kudos to your coaches. I love that. So let's get into this YouTube.
Yes.
So one thing that I talk about a lot, and everybody knows me, I preach this all the time. Have a plan B. Be more than an athlete. So the fact that you're doing that, I absolutely love that. So kind of tell us, like, first of all, because I get this question a lot as well. How do you balance being a athlete, professional athlete at that, but also having to create this YouTube channel? You also have an app that we want to talk about. So how do you balance? And then you're also in nursing
Right.
school. How do you balance all of that? That's crazy. That's
Yeah, so I'm
crazy.
actually not in nursing school anymore,
Oh,
but I graduated this past May,
oh,
and
congrats.
thank you. And I took my boards, my certification exam during season. So
Oh my
like in
gosh.
July.
Jeez.
And I
What?
passed first try.
Oh, congrats. We love that. Yes.
Thank you.
So how do you, like, literally, how do you balance all of that? That's a lot.
It's so funny that you say it because I'm figuring it out. I think like social media really does a great job at highlighting everybody's life. Like
Yes.
you and I both can, and I'm sure you can attest to this. I don't have it all together. I don't have it all together. I haven't had it all together,
Yeah.
but I have a good work ethic
Yeah.
and determination to succeed in the stuff that I'm passionate
Mhm.
about. And so, back to your point of like balancing. So let's go back to when I was in nursing school. Let's say in nursing school, that's the only reason I'm here on this call with you right now is because I started my softball page. Let's be honest,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like want to highlight that is if you guys are thinking about doing something that you cannot go to bed at night without thinking about it. So that's why I'm just really proud of myself because during nursing school is hard. If there's any nurses on this live right now, y'all understand. It is gruesome.
I
You
feel you.
got clinicals,
Mhm.
you're waking up at 4 a.m., you're studying, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So during school, I was still coaching, so I was doing private lessons, and I kept getting texts from all my players like, "Hey, question about this. What can we do for this drill or this and this?" And I thought about it, and I said, "Well, why don't I just start posting what our lessons look like?"
Hmm.
Not only to help out my athletes when they're, looking for a drill to do, but now I can get more reach because social media is a great way to connect.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
through starting that, if you go back to like my very first post, it's so funny because I've evolved so much, and you'll see that with anything you do that you really put time
For
into.
sure.
um yeah, I just started posting, and then I started having some fun with it. I was like, this is a real um so like an outlet for my passion of a sport that I at the moment did not ever think I was, well, I don't want to say I didn't think I was going to play again, but at the moment the reality was my cleats were hung
Mhm.
up, right? I didn't have an opportunity to
Yeah.
play, which my family and friends who know me, I struggled so much with that once I graduated from college. That was very tough for me.
I can only
And
imagine.
so the passion of like, hey, this is not only am I having fun content creating and like other people are enjoying it, but I'm sharing my passion, love for the game, giving my knowledge in a way that's everyone's consuming social media now. So why don't I try to bring some light to that
Mhm.
platform and do that? So that's the main like drive of to why I started a Bruni softball.
Okay.
And then from there I started getting more traction, and I'm like, wow, this is like kind of blowing up just a little bit. I had a few videos go viral, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
And I just decided then and there, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be
Mhm.
consistent with this. I'm going to
Oh,
keep posting.
important.
So important,
Yes.
correct. And that's kind of where, and I know I'm kind of getting off track because that's just how my brain works. I'm
No,
sorry,
you're
but
good. This is good information.
we talk about balance, right? Like I'm fit.
Yeah.
I figure it out, So I know
Yes.
that I need to succeed in school. That's number one. Now, number two, okay, we're coaching lessons. I'm gonna just set up a camera and record, and then from there, I figured out the posting schedule, and
Yes.
that kind of is why now I'm starting. I have the ability to start the platform of YouTube. My TikTok is growing. It's something that I literally lay down at night and my brain spins for the next hour and a half because I'm just like, this would be a good idea.
Yes.
I could I
Mhm.
could really like share my knowledge but fun in this
Yes.
way. And I think that passion shows through my content, which I think it's authentic,
Yeah.
right? You can't fake something and like try to make a living out of something that you don't thoroughly enjoy.
Yes.
And so I'm
Yes.
very, very grateful that even though my plan B is nursing at
Yeah.
the moment, I mean, I have a degree. I had a job lined up in the cardiac ICU. I was getting
Wow.
ready to work before I got called to play professionally, and I still have that option because I am balancing now as a content creator, pro athlete, working for Camwood Bats. I, on top of that, am doing continuing education courses to keep my nursing license active.
Wow.
So,
Man, that is wow. Everything that you said is what I preach to these younger athletes.
mhm,
Like, if you're not building, definitely as an athlete, if you're not building a brand while you're a current athlete, it's going to be a lot harder to kind of transition into some of the things that you may want to do after sports because a lot of times you're just not as relevant, right? But
mhm,
also, it also opens up so many doors. So it opens up the doors of being paid to be a social media influencer, but it opens up the doors to go and do speaking engagements or have your own app or other things like that. But a lot of times we're so focused on I just want to be the best on the field or on the basketball court or track that we're not thinking about life after sports. And then what you said too about how hard it was for you to hang up the cleats. And I think that's
mhm,
also something that is not talked a lot about is like that transition phase and the mental health aspect of that as well.
right.
But if you have that plan B, it's a lot easier to kind of transition into that so that you're not having to deal with, the extreme, pressure and sometimes depression that you go through because it's almost like a cutting away of a part of who you are, right? So I
Mhm,
love the fact that you were able to do that and able to be successful in that. And then I honestly just don't feel like there's still not enough athletes doing that. And then
I
by the time
agree.
it's over, it's just like, what? Like, who am I? What do I do at this point? So, can you talk? And this is kind of off script, but can you talk a little bit about that as far as like how important it is during that transition? Because you got to feel that those
Mhm,
emotions when you hung up the cleat, but then you also got to feel the feeling of like, oh, cool, I get to put them back on and go be pro now. So like,
mhm.
how were you able to kind of deal with like those emotions during the point where you have to just kind of say, okay, this is like the end of my softball career?
Yeah. So I think every athlete goes through this and is going to go through this at some point and to different degrees.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to say, hey, don't put your identity in your sport because the truth of the matter is we all do it
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
I'm guilty,
Yeah. Me
guilty
too.
charge here, but and I can't lie. I can't sit here and say I'm perfect because for the younger girls watching this, you have to work on it every day to not let it define you and be your identity.
Yes.
Yes, am I on a Bruni softball? Yes. Yes, do I play professionally and want to be the best at that? But I'm playing with the best of the best, like my teammates. Like I look up to my teammates, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. And I think especially when you're in college, you don't know anything else. Like that is your family, your life for 4 plus 5 years, 6 years if you're lucky. Some people got 7 because of
Yep.
COVID. That's crazy.
Right. Exactly.
But it is so hard when that is literally you're dressing as an athlete going to class. You got a backpack that says USS softball. Like I
Right.
know that's me, right? I think it's funny because we're given everything to be embodied a student athlete.
Yes.
So it's hard not
Yeah.
to. However, I felt it very deeply because I love softball and I love competing. I think the
Mm.
biggest thing is the competing part killed me more than being a softball player. I'm like, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
So what I did, not only did I just cry every day because I did. You
I
gotta get
get
it
it.
out. Feelings are okay to feel.
Yeah.
Um, I transitioned that competitiveness into my nursing program. So
Oh
I was
man.
actually class president, which is really funny for me to
Oh, I love
say, but
that.
I became class president. I tried to just like win everything in class,
Mm,
like sat at the front of class like I would in college. And I think for my advice for people transitioning out of college sports or even professional and going into a workforce that they're struggling,
mhm.
know that you're not alone. It's okay to feel these feelings and try to acknowledge them to yourself
Yeah.
because we're human. If you don't let yourself feel, you and you just push it down, it's going to come up at some point. Um,
Yes.
so I think that's the biggest number one. And then number two is finding other things outside of your sport while you're still playing.
Yes.
So like while you're in, and this is big. I wish I would have started my page sooner. I mean, there was a whole bunch of NIL stuff back in the day that we didn't have that it is allowed
Right.
now, but
Yeah.
like find something that identifies you outside of your sport. So for
Mm.
me, I love going to the gym. I love sharing like healthy. I would share like healthy, meals and snacks with my Snapchat friends or whatever at the time. But
Yeah.
now I'm looking, I'm like, that could have been content for YouTube or that could have been
Yes.
this. So
Yes.
I think that's just really important to highlight. And going back to now that I get to, how it feels putting the cleats back on. I think, which a lot of people don't know this, but my very close friends and family, I never stopped believing in me
Mhm.
when I wasn't, like when I hung up the cleats, quote, quote. I
Yeah.
never truly gave up that idea that I was done being an athlete. And
Mhm.
you can ask like the girls I coach and stuff, I'm like, all right, someone give me a glove, like I'm hopping in this round.
Yeah. It's part
And
of who you are. Yeah.
yeah,
No matter what. Yeah.
I just want to win. I just always want to be a part of it. So I think the transition was difficult for me in that aspect, but I think that's the reason I'm still like having the chance to play again. One, starting the page. That's how I was found. Like Texas Smoke found me with my consistency on Instagram of like, hey, we saw you didn't get a chance to play professionally and have a shot, and they gave me that shot. And that's
Wow.
something that I never thought I'd get the experience to not only play one season
Yeah.
professionally, but now prepare for a second one and meet all these amazing athletes that you watch play. I'm some of my favorite teammates. I could say every single one of them, but currently I work with like Samantha Schau, Bailey Klingler, Kayla Kowalik, Morgan Howell. I can name everybody, but
Wow. Yeah.
people that I watched in college and like as you see them on
Yeah.
TV are now my closest friends. And I think
Man.
that's just the biggest, like the coolest thing. And I'm so off track, but
No,
yeah,
that's man, that again, you're saying everything that I talk about. That's awesome. And the fact that you were found on social media is even crazier because
crazy.
you never know what opportunities are awaiting you on social because you're reaching so many
Hmm.
people. And funny enough, I actually played USA. Well, I was training for the USA Olympics and started playing rugby because of social media.
That's
And
so cool.
I got to be a pro football player because of social media. So it's
But we're
I
same,
totally
same.
agree.
We're
It
same with
literally,
that.
it's that's actually crazy. So,
Once I'm done
kids,
softball, if you want to teach me some rugby,
I
I heard they're very similar.
teach me softball.
Okay,
I got you.
they're
So we'll switch. We'll
perfect.
switch. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. Last like, regular question, then I want to get into like some spicy questions really quick.
Okay.
Just because I know there's a lot of younger the younger athletes on here, what advice would you have for student athletes trying to balance being an athlete and also going to class, waking up,
Hmm.
study hall, things like that?
Right. So, whew, that's funny that you say that because people ask that and they you tell them the answer and they just they
Yeah.
don't register it. They're like, oh yeah, my parents tell me that. It's prioritizing and time management. Key and key.
Yes.
And keep it
Yes.
simple. Like if you really want to be a successful college athlete, you can't do that without succeeding in your academics first.
Yep.
So I know it's so cliche. I know you hear it all the time, but I was always so nervous that, if I wasn't fully committed to my sport and being able to be at practice, I never let myself get behind in academics. I was like, I know that I have
Same
to do
here.
this to be able
Yep.
to do this. So
Exactly.
it's just knowing your strengths and your weaknesses when it comes to school, organization, communication, and understanding it's okay to ask for help. We've talked about that a million
Yeah.
times.
Yep.
And again, academic support. I I was graduated with a 3.9, like perfect.
Wow.
Like I was great in school, but it was difficult. But I use tutoring. Like I'm smart, but I still use the tutoring. It's okay to get that
Important.
support. It's important.
Yep. Yep.
Take advantage. I mean, they're there to help you. So that's what I would just say is prioritize time management and just if you need help, ask for it.
I love that. I love it. I love it. Okay, student athletes, hope y'all are paying attention. Okay, so now let's get into some juicy questions. So this
Juicy.
little segment is called intentional dating. It's pretty much where I ask all of my lovely guests about just kind of being nosy about their dating life and kind of what they're looking for. So the first question, are you single?
I am single.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so what I guess what qualities, are you looking for in your potential future husband? Because I know it's hard to kind of explain this to other people that are not athletes, but it is like
Mhm.
it's a little bit different when you're trying to date as an athlete because it's just certain qualities that have to be there, right?
Right.
So kind of tell me like what is your ideal, what is the qualities and things like that?
I would say stability in their own life and determination in their goals. The more that you know yourself and someone who knows who they are and what they want, that's when you can see that if they show up for themselves, then they're going to be able to show up better for you and vice versa. And so I think that is important because if you are just looking to get into a relationship and you're not really understanding of like, hey, I'm adding value to this person's life and they're adding value to mine and like that's a common
Yeah.
goal. That's the only way I think that a relationship could work. So I would say that's a quality I look for. And then just good communication and supporting of each other's goals and passions. Because if I don't support yours and you don't support mine, we're not adding to each other's
Facts.
life. So
Facts. Okay, so does he have to be an athlete?
I don't know. I think
Okay.
they have to love doing athletic things,
Okay.
working out, eating healthy, because that's just kind of my lifestyle. I think that's the only way that someone could fit into that.
Facts.
So it doesn't
Facts.
necessarily have to be an athlete, but I do love someone who can be athletic.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like it has to be there in some to some degree,
Agreed.
right? Even if you're like an ex, like you were like a college athlete, right? Or
Mhm.
even a high school athlete, but you still kind of stay in shape. I think that's still cool,
It
right?
just shows
Um,
the respect you have like for yourself, like staying in shape and eating healthy and stuff like
I
that. So
agree. I agree. I think that's a big, yeah, I agree. I'm gonna leave it at there. I agree. So how do you how do you manage, right? Dating because you're busy. Like, let's be real, you're super busy. So how do you manage like dating at this, with this crazy schedule you have?
I don't really date,
Okay, well,
to be honest with you.
okay, well,
I'm open to meeting people and creating relationships. I think that great things start with a great foundation.
true.
So you really just have to choose who you're giving your energy
Yeah,
to. I think, and I know we talked previously before the interview on just things, but just to put it in here, just know your worth and who you give your energy to, because if you're giving it to someone that's stealing that
yeah,
energy and
yeah,
it's not being used to create a greater energy and greater goals, I think that you're way better off doing not doing it at all, because then
true.
think about all the things that you can get done, do for yourself, achieve if you're putting that extra energy that you're giving to someone who's just taking and not using it and appreciating you.
Yes.
And you can put it towards things that are going to elevate your life, elevate your energy. So I think that's huge.
Amen. Amen to that. Okay, last question. What when you hear intentional dating, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What is your definition of intentional dating?
Ooh, intentional dating. I would say having, okay, so not just stringing somebody along or someone stringing you along
Hmm.
just for the fun of it. I would say intentionally, like getting to understand who that person is at their core and if that person aligns with who you are and if you all can be compatible. Now, not to say that, I mean, I'm sure you seem like you have a wonderful relationship too, but not to say I've seen some of your stuff. Like, you're gonna go through challenges. We're
Hmm.
humans. Over time, there's gonna be stuff, but are you able to intentionally create a system with that person, a life with that person to build a life? And
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I haven't found that yet, but I'm working on myself too of like knowing that intent, like this is what I want and this is what I am not going to settle for, and holding people to that, because I hold myself to a high
Yeah.
standard. And I think that's important for young women and men to understand, is like that's the only way that your energy is going to be used positively.
Amen to that. Okay. Well, look, Anna, I appreciate you for coming on. I know you're super busy, so thank you for stopping by.
Thank
Oh,
you.
last question. Last question.
All good.
What do we have to look forward to? Like, what do you have coming up? Is there anything that we can follow? Just give us all the
Yes.
deets on that.
So I'm currently really trying to grow my YouTube channel. I'm putting a lot of energy into that. So I have some really big, fun partnerships coming up for 2024. So I'm excited and very blessed. I'm working with some great people. And I think the biggest thing with the YouTube is to know that it's not just going to be softball. So I am currently traveling to different colleges and doing day in the lives of softball athletes. So
I
just
love
following that way,
that.
girls can see like, this is a really cool college. Like, this is what their day looks like, and I've never seen that done. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a series of that.
Ooh,
I'm gonna post drills on YouTube, and then I'm also gonna just share my life as a professional athlete, someone who loves fitness, and just like share more than just softball. So if you could
I love
subscribe to that, that's the biggest thing that I'm working on right now.
Awesome. When you hop off, could you actually put your YouTube channel in the comments
Yes.
so that I can pin it? I'm gonna be on here for like maybe another 10 minutes when we hop off
Mhm.
so that people can follow you. So
Perfect.
that's
Thank you so
exciting.
much.
Yeah, I love that. Again, I love the fact that you're just being more than just an athlete. So kudos to you. Keep killing it. I cannot wait to see you, on the TV screen. So I will be looking out for you. And again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time, and you keep killing it as well. I'm so excited to see you, and you're just such a baller. Football,
Ooh.
like, girl, keep
Look,
doing it.
I try a little bit, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a good one. Thank you.
You too,
All
Santia.
right.
Bye.
Okay, everyone. Thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all know I appreciate it. Um, so guys, we have some really exciting things coming up with Winning Her Way. As you can see, I've had some amazing female athletes. And we're gonna continue with that, but there's gonna be some really awesome things coming up that I cannot wait to share with you all. Before I hop off here, I want you guys to follow Anna on her YouTube channel so that you can keep up with her life. I'm gonna pin it really quick. Here we go, so that you guys can keep up with her life. Because y'all, softball is lit. Again, y'all know I'm all about putting on women's sports, right? I love sports in general, but I just feel like as female athletes, we don't always get the shine, the recognition, the exposure that I feel like we deserve, because there's some really badass women in different sports that's not just the traditional sports, right? So definitely follow her, support her on her journey. I know I will. And again, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. And I think there were some questions before I hop off. I know I never answer questions because I'd be like, Sabbath is coming up, so I gotta hop off soon. Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, I know one question that oh, that's awesome. You play football with boys at your high school? Okay, girl. I love it. Um, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we got people from Mexico in here. Okay, we got a lot of people from different countries in here. Okay. Okay, Instagramming. I'm trying to scroll up because there were some good questions. Thank you. No, I'm glad that y'all got to kind of hear from another athlete that is professional and killing it, in a mogul in her sport. Because I don't think people understand what athletes have to balance. So she got kind of gave you a clear picture that is not just going to practice, it's not just going to, physical therapy. It's also trying to create a life outside of sports, which is all to me, that's always one of the biggest struggles, because you have to give time to both things. I know people always ask me, how was I able to play football and also have a shoe business and also be an influencer and also be a public speaker? It is honestly about the grace of God, but also having an amazing team. But I feel like life is about, how bad do you want it? Do you want this bad enough to sacrifice sleep? Do you want this bad enough to sacrifice your time? And that was always my mentality since I was about 10 years old, if I'm being honest. But you have to be a dog. If you're not a dog, then you're just not going to get to where you want to get in life. I truly believe that. So again, y'all follow Anna. I just pinned her YouTube is Anna. I can't even talk, y'all. AnaBruni.softball. So follow her life. She got some dope stuff coming up. Thank y'all for the support, and I can't wait for the next interview. See y'all next. What is today? See y'all next week, Monday. We got another interview. Tune in.